Good morning, anatomy classes. This is a short instructional lecture on how to complete your final assignment, which is due next Tuesday, May 19th. If you have any questions about how to submit it, it's no different than anything else. They are posted on Google Classroom. So basically what you're going to be doing is looking through a list of 11 questions. Those 11 questions are all topics that we have covered throughout the year. When you're looking at these questions, probably the best thing to do as you're trying to identify them is to look back through your notes, look back through Google Classroom, because all that information is in the previous chapters, even when we were actually at school. So looking at the questions right now, I have them over here. How are the muscular, circulatory, and respiratory systems all related to the process of cellular respiration? Write out the formula for cellular respiration and talk about how that process, cellular respiration, requires oxygen, how it requires to have CO2 removed, how the bloodstream delivers the nutrients to the cell, oxygen and glucose, which are obviously the reactants in that reaction. And just think about how that relationship, or what the relationship is between that reaction and all the systems that support it and are supported by it. So it's a short answer, but at the same time, I just want to see that you understand that kind of cellular respiration is one of those key concepts that we've talked about this year, and I've mentioned it probably 5, 6, 7 different times. And I don't just mean mention it, I mean it's been part of our conversation during lectures. It's that important. It's how we release energy for ourselves. Second question, list in order from smallest to largest the levels of organization. If you have your notes, and if you don't, again, they're on Google Classroom. This is the first chapter, first day of notes. What are the levels of organization? Why do we talk about them? The levels of organization are when we look at the human body and we talk about how it's built out of atoms. You put atoms together and make molecules, so on and so forth. And as we have addressed topics throughout the year, we're always using that concept of levels of organization. We might be talking about the entire organism, how it's functioning. We might be talking about a single organ. We might be talking about what that organ's made of. We might go inside of the cell, talk about how an organelle works within the cell. We might be discussing individual atoms and molecules and ions and how they affect physiology. So please, when you're answering that question, just kind of look through those levels, understand the relationship between that and everything that we've discussed so far this year. Next question. Processes of diffusion, osmosis, active and passive transport for living organisms. Why are they important? These are the ways that cells get materials across the membranes. And again, I'm not answering these questions for you right now, so I want to make that clear. I'm giving you some hints on where to look and kind of what direction to take with them. So don't just listen to this video, write down a few words, and say, I'm done. I'm not looking for a book. I'm not looking for a paragraph for each of these, but I want your own words and your own thoughts. Again, just trying to prompt your thinking as I give you some of these clues. This is how, for question number 3, how cells get materials across the membrane. It's crossing the cell membrane. That was the topic that we discussed specifically when we did this lecture back in chapter 3, I believe it was. List and discuss the basic homeostatic mechanisms performed by the skin. 3, just go to the skin chapter. What's the skin do for you? What do you think of when you think of the skin? Question number 5, list and discuss the functions of the skeletal system. This is chapter number 6. And I have 3, I probably have 5 or 6 listed in the notes at that point. Again, just look back into those chapters. You're going to have to scroll down the page and find that. But, think about what your skeleton does for you. There are many things that come to mind right away, and then there's some things that might not come to mind as quickly, but I'm asking you for 3 things. List and describe. Let's see if the next one, list and describe, or compare and contrast the nervous and endocrine systems. This is a tougher question. Think about these two systems, the nervous system, which obviously uses nerve impulses, involves your brain and your neural pathways, and the endocrine system, which secrete hormones. They're the same in a lot of ways, and then they're obviously different. And I want you to think about how they're the same and how they're different. Describe the relationship between the concepts of dynamic equilibrium and homeostasis. This is chapter 1. Chapter 1, probably right after levels of organization, or a couple pages after levels of organization. Homeostasis, a concept that has woven its way through the entire year, the entire book. We talked about cellular respiration being a top 3, top 5 concept. This is the concept, homeostasis. What is it? talk to me about what it is, then discuss how the body maintains it. And that's the whole dynamic equilibrium piece, the fluctuations, the ability for the body to fluctuate around a normal level like body temperature or sugar levels without going into dire consequences. Next one, in detail, describe 4 functions of the blood. Just go to the blood chapter, look and see what we discussed and what the blood does for you. And there's more than 4, I can tell you that. Next question. Discuss in detail the physiology of capillaries. What are the 3 primary mechanisms by which capillaries exchange substances? So what are capillaries? Capillaries are blood vessels. Why are they unique? Why are they different from veins and arteries? Because they have the ability to exchange. They have the ability to let materials pass through their walls and go into the cells, and they're able to get things from the cells, absorb materials from the cells, go back into the bloodstream. What are the ways by which this happens? What are the mechanisms? Again, think about crossing the cell membrane. Discuss the cell's need for oxygen. As part of the answer, discuss the production of carbon dioxide. This goes back to cellular respiration. That is the answer for this question, but it's not the answer for this question. You can start with, cellular respiration is the reason that we need oxygen, and carbon dioxide comes from cellular respiration. Well, talk to me about why cellular respiration is so important. And then the last question, discuss the homeostatic functions performed by the kidney, include the terms nephrons, secretion, and absorption. Again, we just did this, so you should be able to knock this question out. You need to talk about that whole structure of the nephron. You can go back and look at that lecture. I did 2 lectures where I went through and talked about what happened along the length of the nephron, starting with filtration, talking about tubular reabsorption of water, and tubular secretion. All those things happening along the length of the nephron between the circulatory system, the capillaries that surround it, and the nephron itself, which is the base unit of the kidney. So use that information if you need to. And again, I'm not looking for a book. I want you to kind of do a survey of everything that we've learned this year, and that's the purpose of these 11 questions, to kind of go back through your chapters, understand what we talked about, get the main concepts out of them, and have that in your back pocket moving into next year, because this is what's going to help you. It's not the minute details here. It's the general concepts of anatomy and physiology that we discussed this year. Now, second part, which I've got received some emails about already. Don't make it any more difficult than it is. That's not that big of a problem. But I want you to understand what I'm asking for here. I know we've never done anything like this before, so I don't expect that you're going to read this and jump right into it without a little bit of thought. But what I've done is given you a list of diseases. Those are at the very bottom. If you scroll down, you pick one of those diseases, any of them, any one you want to. If there's another one you'd like to do, just send me an email. Don't wait until Tuesday morning to do that. But if there's something else you'd rather do, that's fine. And then make a slideshow. Follow the rubric that I provided for you, and go through, use Google Slides, some Prezi, whatever you want to use. It doesn't matter to me. And if you're intimidated by those and you've never used them before and you're thinking, I'm going to spend more time trying to figure out how to do Google Slides than I'm going to do learning from this presentation, write them on a piece of paper and take a picture and upload them and send them to me via email. It doesn't matter to me how you get this information to me, but what I want you to be able to do, let me scroll down here again and look at these instructions. So basically I'm asking for 6 slides. A title page, which is going to show the disease's name, description of the disease, including signs and symptoms. So basically tell me what it is, what does it do, how does it affect you. Diagnosis of the disease, how's it diagnosed, blood test, x-ray, etc. That would be something that you could do. Prognosis, which is the expected outcome, which means if you get this disease, if you get a cold, I'll feel sick for a week, and then in a week I'll feel better. That's the prognosis. Obviously, prognoses for diseases are different depending on how severe they are, and there's different pathways depending on treatment. You don't have to get in that much detail, but you could say expect full recovery in 2 weeks, or lingering effects 6 months on. You'll find that information when you do your research on the disease. All you have to do is type in prognosis. Number 5, disruption of homeostasis. How's it messing with your physiology? That's what I'm asking for in this question. What's it doing to disrupt your homeostasis, mess up the body's physiology? So think about what that means. So if it affects your skin, then it's affecting the skin. So I want systems here. So if it causes issues with your bones or your joints, you tell me that it disrupts the homeostasis of the skeletal system, the musculoskeletal system. It's muscular. That's what I want. a lot of diseases affect multiple systems. So make sure that as you're answering this question, that you don't just simply stop at one system, unless it only affects one system. Some of them do, and it just depends what disease you select. Let's see what else here. That's about it. That's really it in a nutshell. I will be available. I'm going to post this video later today. I'll be available via Meet tomorrow morning for the different classes, sometime between 10 and 12, depending on what class you're in. So just take a peek at Google Classroom for that schedule if you have any more questions about this. And obviously, you can always email me. Have a good day.